Well, this is generally what the hillsides look like around here. It's not unlike Yorkshire over in the British Isles, where they hold the 6-day trials. And I don't have a trials bike, but I have a little bike that I use for hunting. It's a Honda CR125, and I've been using it to somewhat relearn some of the skills I should have been more polished on in my younger years of riding back in the 60s. But in those days, trials wasn't real popular here in the United States, so it was grab a handful, don't worry about the suspension, and try to get into the first corner before everybody else. And from that point on, it was pretty much engine power and a certain amount of riding skills that would put you in good stead by the end of the race. But by the time I reached my 60s, I thought it'd be a good idea just to enjoy riding for what it was and not try to do too much in the way of blowing a hole in the wall any longer. So we moved up here, and now here I am 70 this winter, and I've been working with a little CR125R. It's a 1999, and it's an aluminum frame. You can see it sitting over there against the shed. And while it's not a trials bike, it has a lot of attributes such as low weight, and it's very quick. It's got a lot of power. It really doesn't have much in the way of what you could consider good flywheel ethics, because of course there's virtually no flywheels, you know, they're really light. So an actual trials bike it's not. But I hope to make a kind of a go-between between the slower trials and the faster dirt bikes by gearing it down. And so I geared it down, and I'm right at 4.22 to 1 on my final drive. So I've gone down to a 12-tooth sprocket on it. It seems more manageable. It can still be pipey, it can still be quick, and you offset that by proper use of your clutch and everything, you know, while you're doing hills and whatnot. So anyway, I'm going to take it out and do about what I was doing with my little hunting bike, and let's see how well it fares. It's been doing pretty well. I'm trying to have to concentrate on going slow and just doing everything by the numbers, utilizing my balance points from trials and stuff like that, and just kind of generally change my method of riding. And it's a lot of fun, and it's a challenge, you know. It's certainly more of a challenge than doing it with a trials bike would be, but it's a lot of fun. Now let's get it over here where this short-legged little bugger can get a leg up and see if you can get it to fire off. I set the suspension rate way low on it so that it rather resembles what a trials is, a real springy suspension. And so I've taken a lot of the dampening out of this thing and set it down quite a ways. And I've also reduced some of the spring loading on it. Well, it was actually done before because the previous rider was fairly light. So anyway, those two items coupled together give it a little better handling for what I'm doing with it. But let me get this thing going here. I just kind of kick it through, and I'm not real energetic with it. CR125 has got enough power, and yet it doesn't have the weight. The weight on a trials is what will kill you. Go down in the hole here.